my friend, and welcome back. Today, I would like to make a little video talking about thriving, and more specifically, thriving in times that the masses maybe aren't thriving. I don't want to say are suffering, but kind of, or just when the masses are more in survival mode, thriving during those times. So, as a spiritually awakened person, I'm sure you have come across the idea of thriving, the idea of moving out of survival mode and moving into the mode of thriving. And you do that through your learning and the faith that you will always be provided for, all of your needs will always be met, and that you are in a very specific position to then thrive. And this is a privilege and an opportunity. Not everyone in this world currently is able to do that. A lot of people are stuck in survival mode. And yes, maybe their spiritual, if they started their spiritual awakening journey, aware of their spiritual awakening journey, maybe then they would be able to shift a little bit from the survival mode into thriving. However, life circumstances don't provide that opportunity for everyone. So if you are lucky enough to be in a position to be able to shift your thinking from the scarcity, fear, survival mode into the abundant, love, thriving mode, it is almost your responsibility to do so, because you are a way shower for others to do the same. And the awakening journey that we are all on as consciousness is to essentially get everyone from survival mode into thriving. And a shift in your perspective and your thinking is really all that is needed to go from survival to thriving. And now I feel as though, we're living in uncertain times right now. There is a lot going on in the world currently. However, that doesn't mean that you yourself has to go back into survival mode just because a lot of people currently are living in survival mode. Remember, like we talked about yesterday, you making yourself sick is not going to cure someone who is already sick. So you shifting back into survival mode is not going to help those that are in survival mode to shift out of that. And there are examples of this throughout history. Did you know that more millionaires were made in the Great Depression than in any other time period in history? And you may be like, that almost doesn't make sense, because during the Great Depression, we just have these images of people starving and not surviving and purely in survival mode. And, it's deemed to be a very, very dark time. However, in times of financial downswings is the time that big companies are made. If you look at a lot of like the really big companies that exist right now were created during times of financial downswing. And you might be like, well, that doesn't make sense. How was that even possible? It was possible through people looking for and seeing the opportunities that existed during that time. If you wanted to build a big company, doing it during a time where unemployment rates are very high and people are hungry for jobs, therefore you being able to maybe get, now this doesn't make it right, maybe get cheaper labor during those times, that could be enough to set your company ahead by leaps and bounds, and especially when you're just coming out of the gate. So that is just one example of looking for the opportunities that are existing or that are about to exist. So I think a lot of times having that forward vision and that forward thinking and that being just that one step ahead of what is happening, and not being able to see the future, but just being able to maybe see a trend right at the beginning of it happening, can be enough to put you ahead by a lot. And we can only see those things when we are in the mode of thriving, where we are looking and expecting opportunities and knowing that there are always opportunities. Regardless of what is currently going on in the world, there is always opportunities for you. And if you were to constantly just put your energy into seeking out those opportunities as opposed to dwelling on the lack of money or the lack of opportunities, or whatever lack you are focusing on, if you were to shift your focus into abundance and the opportunities, so ask yourself, what opportunities are here for me right now? What opportunities would I like to take advantage of? Because just because an opportunity presents itself doesn't exactly mean that you need to take advantage of it and go for that. You need to use your discernment and reflect on it. And, is it an opportunity that I want to take advantage of right now? No? Okay, look for the next opportunity. And opportunities come in different ways. Opportunities come to us in out of the box ways. It's because we are in the box. The divine is not in a box. So the divine can send us help and inspiration and ideas and opportunities that may not necessarily look like the opportunities that you are expecting, or the way that you think an opportunity might look. But it is your ability to be able to get outside of that box and to see what a gift some things truly are, what an opportunity some things truly are. If you were able to see those things, then you will be able to thrive during any time. And remember, thriving also needs you to remove your judgment from a lot of things. For example, say you lose your job during this time and you think, this is awful. How am I going to put food on the table? What is about to happen? That is very much fear and lack. And it is okay to experience those things, but not to dwell in them. So once you experience the fear and you face it head on, you say, okay, I understand, I hear you, I know you're in fear. Let me shift my perspective. How can I view this as a gift? Maybe as a gift of time. Maybe it is a gift of pressure. Maybe you've been wanting a career change for a long time and you were not put in a position where you really had that fire under your butt to get that new position. But if your job was taken from you, that might just be the thing you need to get yourself into a different career. Could definitely be an opportunity. Maybe it's the opportunity to explore an entrepreneurial venture that you've been wanting to do. There are lots of opportunities to everything and lots of gifts. And sometimes the gifts are a little more subtle. For example, say you fall ill and you're like, well, I'm sick. This is not good. This is not thriving. But maybe it is. Maybe you will be gifted with lots of support and compassion from people that you love. Maybe you will be gifted with some much needed rest. Maybe your body is purging something energetically, and that is how your body is processing it. And you will be much closer to the divine and much more aligned after this happens. Maybe it is teaching you acceptance. What are the lessons? These are the questions that you need to ask yourself when things are arising that you might feel like aren't necessarily good. These are the gifts you need to look for, the opportunities that you need to look for. What is the opportunity here? This is the question you need to ask yourself if you want to thrive right now. And you need to understand and accept that it is okay for you to thrive, even though most people are stuck in survival mode. It is okay. And in fact, it is your burden. It is your responsibility to thrive, because you then set the example. You then make that precedence. You then break that chain in society. You are then showing and putting that energy out into the collective, that thriving energy out into the collective. What could be more important than that when people are in strict survival mode? Putting the energy of thriving into the collective is part of our mission. Remember, we are warriors of the light. This is a different kind of warfare. This is not getting into the trenches and being next to the people that are in survival mode and you getting in survival mode too. No. This is you being in thriving mode, and you putting that thriving energy out, and you putting that example of thriving out. Because remember, the collective energy is also like a big brain. And we have talked about before neuropathways and how your brain always wants to go down the neuropathway that is already carved. Carving a new neuropathway is hard, and you will encounter resistance. And the collective consciousness works the same way. So we need more and more people to be willing to carve those new neural pathways in the collective brain, so it is much easier for the rest of the collective. That is our burden. We need to be the leaders. We need to be first in a lot of different things. We need to have the courage to do things differently, because that is the only way things are going to change. We cannot expect change and do the same things over and over again. That is the definition of insanity. We need to do things different. We need to be willing to do things different. We need to have the courage to do things differently and to accept the resistance, the fear, the pushback that we might get from ourselves and from the outer world. It is not for most people to understand what you are doing. Let that go. You will not get the understanding and the acceptance when you are doing things differently. That is why you need to fortify yourself from within to be able to carry out these missions. And that is our message today on thriving. So don't feel afraid and don't harbor the guilt of thriving during these times, because it is okay to thrive. It is necessary to thrive, and it is your mission to thrive right now. So I want to thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Anne, and I hope to see you soon. Next time, next video.